Hello and welcome to Mostly Minnesota Music Podcast Edition. I am here with Gregg Hall. I should say my name is Ann Tracy and I'm here with Gregg Hall. I'm out of practice. Welcome, Gregg.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you. I know you've got an album that's come out recently and some stuff that's going on, but you have a great history. So if I ask you to talk a little bit about yourself, I mean, you've been between yourself and Dee's Productions doing music for a long time with a lot of musicians.
Yes. Yep. Started back in 2010 is when we did our first Dee's production, and I do mostly, shows in the Midwest, and they've been going really well, and and then I got to, and still get a chance to record and just all things music, so I'm lucky to be able to do that.
Yeah,
for sure.
And you played with a bunch of different iterations of bands, from the Wrecking Ball, Nicholas David, White Iron Band.
Yep. Matt Puda's band. That's just a new thing that we got going. It's just this, Matt actually writes all the songs for White Iron, so it's basically just like a side project for him. But yeah, and then Mark Joseph is, and the Big Woo has been a part of the Big Woo is big medicine around here, man. In the Hall household. So Minnesota has been very good to me over the last 20 years, and it's been one heck of a ride. So
that's great.
Trying to keep going, just onward and upward, one thing to another, and hopefully one day something will stick and we'll be super successful. But we're successful enough now, and I'm grateful for that.
You got a lot going. You got a lot because you've had recent album come out, Echoes from the Treetops.
Yep. That was a big one for me. I got to record at Pachyderm Recording Studio in Cannon Falls, and my good friend Chad Staley produced it. Chad works a lot with Low High Records, is the name of his company, and he represents a lot of really cool bands. He works with Todd Snyder a lot. He actually got me a gig opening up for him a few months ago, which was awesome. And Band of Heathens, probably a bunch more I'm missing, but he's produced albums for Horseshoes and Hand Grenades, and a bunch, it was good having him on board. And then just working with Pachyderm was just an incredible experience, and to get the sound that we got for this album, this rock album, because I wasn't really sure what we were going to do. I sent Chad a bunch of songs. He said, "Hey man, let's go this direction." I'm like, okay. And I'm glad that we did. It turned out really well. So,
and I heard a description of it, and which I read after I listened to it, driftless rock, which I thought was perfect, because you've got songs about going home and you've got songs about rambling, man. And it did seem to be a common theme through most of the songs. Push and pull of be home, be on the road, be out there, be still.
Yeah. And I'm a dad, I got 2 boys at home, so I don't like to be super far away. Makes me a little anxious, just but I'm grateful that the Midwest offers a lot of opportunities for guys like me. So super grateful and appreciative of that.
And I'm wondering, when did you write these songs? Because we have to hear everything differently after the last 2 years.
Yeah, a lot of them I wrote, during our downtime there in 2020, and they just came to fruition, and luckily, I took the PPP loans and made an album, and I wouldn't have gotten to do that hadn't I have had that extra, help. So. Yeah, like I said, I'm super proud of the way that album turned out. So I'm looking forward to playing it for everybody on Friday at the Hook with the Big Woo and Matt Pudas, and it's like all my friends in one gig. You know what I mean? Are being represented. My Minnesota family, which I'm just super stoked that it all came together that way. So.
And that is such a great place it's a great place to see music, but it's an especially great place to see music that has such a community feel.
Yeah.
I think not the last show I saw there, but the last show I saw with that kind of feel was Chris Castellano with the Chicken Wire Empire.
Yeah. I love that album. Fresh Pickles has been in my CD player in my car for, I mean, I know the words to every song, I think. Just a great, and all them, Jerry Douglas and Keller and all them guys that are on it. Man, that is one heck of a record. And Chris is playing with us on Friday too. He's in the band. So
That's great.
yeah.
That's great. Well, I noticed in the song Going Home, I felt like there was a little bit of a nod to the Big Woo with the mention of the Minnesota Moon.
Oh yeah, yep. And I did a little, and Borderline is a White Iron song. I kind of, gotta give props to my fellas, that helped me out tremendously with my career, especially White Iron Band, just kind of snatching me out of Wisconsin and getting to play these bigger gigs that I normally probably wouldn't have gotten to play. So it's forever grateful to those guys. And
And I like that song Going Home. I mean, but as I said, it's funny to listen to it after COVID. But I think we all, I mean, I travel enough for work in a very different work where there is that feeling of it's nice to be gone. It's nice to be,
Yeah. And, it being, I mean, it is a kind of a song about, the Driftless area, and a lot of people that live in this area, that no dying hill, man. Like when you get over, you're up and you go and you're coming down into these bluffs, and you're just like, oh, it's an overwhelming feeling of home. It really is. And a lot of people have commented on that. Oh, I know that feeling, on my, friends, musicians. I mean, anybody that travels. I mean, once you get down the No Dying Hill, you're back in the Driftless and you're home.
Well, there is that feeling of just,
Yeah. But everybody can relate to that no matter where you live. Everybody has a no dying hill somewhere.
yeah, exactly. Well, and that is the thing that I like so much about your music is that while you're writing about something specific, and um, you write about something specific, and even if that's not my story, I can tap into something about it. And one of the songs I wanted to ask a little bit about was My Friends, because that very much feels like a storytelling song.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish I hadn't bought the bar, and that's the ethos of the line. I'm sure getting the wrong
Yeah.
line.
Well, it's about two friends of mine that had passed away, and yeah, I mean the tragedies of that party lifestyle. I mean, you can out of nowhere, and I'm 5 years off alcohol. So I mean, that's a big part of that. My songwriting has gotten much more deep, I guess, and just more organized and more mature. And that song too, just a tribute to my friends, obviously. I mean, that's what the song is called. But Babs and Animal, they're good. There's this couple that raised a bunch of kids, and they're just big into the community, and they're really great people. And I just wanted to honor them in that song. And then everybody can relate to, especially with the COVID. I mean, look at how many people we lost, and everybody's got a story involving that. And that's just my story. I mean, they passed away before the whole COVID thing, but still, I mean, it's relatable regardless. So
Yeah. And I think about that with a song like with Feel the Light, which is that kind of a nice swampy sound to it. I like that.
Yeah, I'm a big blues guy. The blues is, one of my fortes or whatever. And then so I had the riff and everything written down. And then Matt Putis helped me with some of the lyrics. Actually, Matt's dad even chimed in. Richard chimed in on a few, but I like that one. I think that's by far the most drive and powerful song. And with this album too, it's like getting away from the normal Cheech Gregg Hall sound and having these more complicated riffs and stuff. So usually it's just like 4-chord country song or, singer songwriter folk, whatever you want to call it. So it's cool to kind of get some more riffy songs and a little bit more dynamic, dynamics going on. So.
And I think that there were a couple songs that had the Love Withstands. Now that to me had an almost 80s poppy feel, like a Jimmy Eat World kind of a song.
Yeah. And like Pearl Jam is a big influence of mine. And then I feel like My Friends has that kind of Nothing Man sound too. I mean, the early 90s is, I'm a child of the 80s and the 90s. So that's the stuff we kind of grew up on. So that's where that influence is most definitely. You're correct on that for sure.
And I, as soon as I heard it, I mean, just the beginning is very different. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
and I'm going to say, I'm going to be generous to myself, a pinch older than you are. But even that, I'm like, oh, all right, no,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I'm in a different lane to kind of keep with that idea of driftless and roads. I'm in a different lane, but I'm still on a road.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That one I liked. Then still standing. That I I like that you ended with that because it's kind of that I'm going to be here around for a while.
Yeah, yeah. And that was the song was written by Sam Wyant of White Iron Band. And then we kind of co-wrote. He had the words, he had a bunch of different verses. I kind of put them together and I wrote a bridge and then, because it was like the last tune we recorded. JT Bates actually plays drums on that one. Because we had done the 6 and then we had one more session. I go, oh, I really want one more song. So me and Sam collaborated on that. And JT came in, we nailed that song like under an hour. JT's a monster. He was really fun to work with. He actually, we worked with him on the new Matt Putis record too at Pachyderm. So it's spent a lot of time at Pachyderm over COVID. So I was super lucky that I only had to pay
Yes.
for it once. So, but what an experience. That place is just awesome. I don't ever want to record anywhere else now. So,
That's what I've heard about it.
yeah.
So what was the process? I mean, you had that time in the studio, but obviously a lot of collaboration happening during COVID. Just
Yeah.
how did you all make that work?
Well, it I did all the guitar stuff. And then we had a bass player, Ryan Nielsen. He's from the Minneapolis area, Northfield. He played with the band Down Low forever, and he plays with Mark Joseph every once in a while too. And he had been laid off from his job, so I sent him the tunes, and he's like, "Hey, I'll come down. What else do I have to do?" And then the drummer is one of my best friend from high school, Matt Malin, one of the best rock drummers I've ever played with, and we just came up there and we had 3 days to get these 6 songs done or 7 songs done. So we just put our heads down and went for it. And it was good for me because to break out of my comfort zone to kind of get, okay, man, well, here you go. You wanted this opportunity. Here it is. Step up. So it's good for me to step up my game a little bit too, as a musician and a songwriter, and, giving yourself that, you deserve to be a little bit higher, go for it, even if I don't ever, get the chance to come back to that kind of setting, at least I got to do it once, so.
I think that there's some exceptional music coming out because of it, because musicians had time to work. They had the time to work on your own craft, to write your songs with or without other people. And then others were open to collaboration. People who normally would be on the road or would be doing this or be doing that.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, especially Chad. I mean, Chad's he's a co-owner. I'm wearing the shirt, Lacrosse Distillery.
Nice.
And and his own band with the High Hawks, with like Adam Grew, that kind of all-star lineup. For him to be able to make time was awesome. And me and Chad have been friends for 20 years, so it was cool to finally like get a chance to work with him. He actually moved to La Crosse, my hometown, a few years ago. So nice having that dude, that my friend who's the closest to the rock star realm, however you want to put it, and he lives right here, and he's family, so that's cool.
Well, even though the show is mostly Minnesota music, tell me about the music scene in La Crosse. I've been to La Crosse, but I think I was there as little kids.
It's a beautiful place. You have the bluffs, the rivers, and the hills. And there is a plethora of really talented musicians that live in this little town. You would be amazed. I wish more of them would get out and play more, out of La Crosse, but everybody's busy, and not everybody wants to do that either. Some people just like, and that's okay too. But yeah, I mean, there's a ton of good bands, and where a lot of them will be featured at my festival too, so
That's a good segue. Tell us about the Cheech's Dees Festival. I knew that would be a tongue twister. Tell me if I got it right.
No, it's good. This is our 3rd year. We skipped a year because of COVID, obviously, but this year we have the Crush Brothers, which is this all-star band with Heatbox, Alex Steele from Roster McCabe, Mark Joseph of the Woo, and Reed Grimm. Reed Grimm is actually a lacrosse native too. He went to college here. And then the White Iron Band and Greg Hall and the Wrecking Ball. Joe and Vicky Price. If you've never seen Joe Price play guitar, wow, he's unbelievable. I don't have the poster in front of me off the top of my head, but those are the Minnesota bands I can think of. High and Rising, they're a new up and coming bluegrass band that's been one of the guys from Kind Country is in that band. I mean,
Nice.
And then deeceproductions.com that have all the information, and Facebook and all, and Instagram.
That's good. And that's the last weekend, in July.
Yes, the 29th and through the 31st of July. It's at Bluebird Campgrounds. Beautiful spot out in Mid-Airy in the heart of the Driftless. And this takes place, and my parents live in this valley that it's in, and our family has lived there since 1863. So it's spooky. I can feel the good vibes when we've had it there. It's like, I feel like my spirit guides are looking over me and my family, you know what I mean? Like I can really feel their presence. So that is a really big deal to me. Amazing. Personally. And that's love having it right in our little, I mean, we grew up out there. That's where I'm going to end up eventually, in that little valley. So, it's a special deal,
It is a real going home for you then.
Yeah, and it gives a lot of chance. It's hard to get into festivals. I mean, it really is. I mean, I've been playing guitar for 20 years and I struggled, it's all about who you know and the timing of your music. So I can help out these bands that, didn't quite get in. They can, hey man, well, I'll start our own festival and we can just do our own thing here, to help them, build up some credibility, and then just having our own little party, is cool.
And I'll ask some of the super basic questions, like, do most people camp out there? Are there
There's
hotels
camping
nearby?
available there. It's not included in the ticket price, but because they don't have a big tent space, but we might be able to do that, but weather permitting, I can't advertise it until maybe the week of, hey, there's some tent spots, but you can go to bluebird.campground.com, make arrangements with your friends. It's still really cheap. If you plan it out right, it can be really, really inexpensive. But the tickets are only $50 for the whole weekend without camping included. But, the campsites are really cheap. You can fit as many people on there as you want, pretty much. And the owners are super cool. I've been friends with them my whole life too. So just a good vibe. Everybody's there to have fun and support the communities. My local community has been so supportive of everything I do. I mean, I could not do it without the help of my La Crosse County, and the people here are just awesome. So I'm very, very lucky to have such a strong support team, and I feel like when quitting that party lifestyle and making the right choices in my own life just brings those people that you attract the right people, so that I can feel that. And that's what helps continue to be sober and help other people find that light too, whatever, I don't preach about it or anything like that on the social media. I don't count the days or anything like that. I mean, but I feel like that's been a huge thing for me and my music, is getting out of that darkness and crossing over into, the light, I guess, whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly. Feel the light.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important for people to hear that, because I think there's this idea of the struggling artist, or the struggling, and that art and music come from a dark place, but it can come from a light place too.
Yeah.
So to hear from somebody who's gone through it and is happy where they are.
And it's not easy because you're around, I mean, that's it's so easy just to fall into that. I mean, moderation is a thing. Well, the moderation didn't exist in my world, so
It's there.
But there's ways around it, and all my friends have been super, super duper supportive. So obviously, I mean,
Nice.
Find out who your real friends are.
It's easy to do something once. It's hard to say no all day long. Hard to
Yeah.
do not do something all the time because it's all the time you're not
Yeah,
doing.
yeah, I'm an all or nothing guy, there's not a whole lot of gray area when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Well,
Actually,
it's I'm glad that you're, as I said, feeling the light and doing some of that. And to bring this around, the festival, is this more of a family
yeah,
friendly
oh,
festival?
yes, very family friendly.
That's
I
right.
mean, we call it a family music festival. I mean, they have Bluebird Campground offers a lot of they have a big pool and stuff for the kids to do. I mean, there's a beautiful creek that rolls right through it, endless amounts of hiking and biking trails. I mean, it's pretty awesome. And they the new owners, well, there's not the new owners, it's the guy who owned it previously, his daughter bought it, and they've revamped the whole thing. They remodeled. It looks real nice. It's a nice Happy Productions. I don't know if you're familiar with them, out of Bram, Minnesota.
Yep.
The Happy Trucker, Sean
Yeah,
Sullivan,
because yeah.
he's our MC. And
Awesome.
he brings his whole crew down, and they were blown away by the beauty of the area. And yeah, it's good having those guys too. Happy Productions, they're great people. So
Sounds like a great mix. And that's for the festival. That's the last weekend in July
yeah,
in La Crosse.
yeah,
More recently, coming up sooner, I should say, is the show at the Hook and Ladder. So we'll remind folks
yeah,
that's
yeah.
July 8th.
July 8th. Yeah,
Friday.
doors. I think doors are at 6 and we start at 7 o'clock. We got a 50-minute set. So we got a bunch of, we have an all-star lineup too. I got Mike Senia, I guess Mike Senia on drums, Dimitri Rollis from Frog Leg. He's gonna sit in on a couple tunes. Castino Eddie from the White Iron Band is playing keys. And my buddy Dan Kimple, he's usually my pedal steel player, but he's playing bass. Because we're not really doing the country band. But yeah, it's looking forward. We're gonna have an all-star band. It's gonna be a good night. Yeah,
And presumably playing a lot of music from Echoes from the Treetops.
We're gonna do that whole album in its entirety.
Awesome.
And then a few other Gregg Hall originals too. So
awesome. They both sound like, well, full July right there.
Yeah, yeah.
Good way to start it off and end it up. So that's fantastic.
Yep.
Gregg, I'll include this in the notes, but what is the best way to find you online?
GreggHallMusic.com, GreggHall music.com, and Deece Productions, DEECE Productions.com. And that's where you'll find all the stuff for Cheech's Deece Fest too, is Deece Productions, .com.
Great. Well, it's been great to talk to you. I look forward to the shows. They, as I said, the taste that I've had about it before, that sense of community around the music just lifts one up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling it already, and it's going to be a beautiful day. So
perfect.
Yeah, come on
Thank you.
down, have a good time. So